Okay, so, hi. How's it going, everyone? This is Aeon here. Normally I would be recording this properly. However, I am still buzzing with excitement from the Game Awards because not only did I get my Ultimate Larian sweep and Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year, but one of my most favorite anticipated series, Monster Hunter, finally getting its next entry trailer. Yes. Okay, so that's going to be playing in the background right now, thanks to my wonderful editor. Annie, thank you so much for doing this on such a quick notice. So, why don't we begin, shall we? First things first on the agenda, the main thing, Monster Hunter Wilds. So, we have a proper name now. We do have the logo, as shown right here. First things first with it. Before I get into properly breaking down the logo, we get a beautiful landscape shot of the savannah on what seems to be some sort of dusty day, I would like to say. You can tell that there's a lot of endemic life. There's like some bipedals that you can see walking around, so those most likely would be like our Jaggy or, you know, like Jagras and stuff like that, along with some of our more docile looking guys, along with a river. But if you've noticed in the trailer, as things are going forward, the weather seems to be the main thing that they want to show off. Because if you notice, it seems to be some sort of dust storm almost that's gathering, either like a dust storm or some sort of like impending rolling thunder that's going through. You can kind of tell that seems to be the main focus of the trailer, because that is the first thing we see before we get a proper shot of our little hunter riding. I don't know what it is personally, and I am actually very excited. I think this is the next evolution of the canines from Monster Hunter Rise. Now, here's gonna be my main thing, right? Those specific canine riders that you use in Monster Hunter Ride allowed you to get through the map pretty quickly while also being able to attack. I don't think this creature will have the ability to attack, because if you notice, it seems to focus mainly on getting you from point A to point B. Now, there is a shot of some sort of gear. You can see like a latch along with some bags on the side properly of it. However, if we go a little bit more ahead into the trailer and you get a front view, you get a view of the weapon, which is most likely a ranged gunning weapon. Judging by the size of the stock, along with not the barrel, but just how it kind of carries itself, I want to say this is a light bowgun specifically that is being carried around. You can also see a little bit of the hunter. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not up on my Monster Hunter armor sets 100% at the current moment. It has been a while since I've seen some of the earlier sets, but I want to say that the hunter set that is being worn right now is a variation, maybe, of the Pookie armor set. But the main thing that I wanted to note is that you don't just see the gun, you also see the sword on the back in the trailer. You can see that he's being chased by these, I don't think they're the more hostile monsters like, say, Rathalos or the Great Jagras. I think what is happening here is that they are taking the mechanic from Rise, the Rampage mechanic, and putting it out in an open world where if a storm is coming, the monsters will become terrified, herd together, and rush. And that might be what they're doing for a cinematic type of take. I'm not 100% sure, but it would make the most sense if that is what they're going for. Not to mention as well that there's something sneaky that they're hiding here in terms of character creation. I could be wrong. This is highly suspicious, but if you can zoom into the hunter's face, I think there's a beard of some kind, which is the first time in Monster Hunter where they've added proper facial hair, which is kind of weird, but at the same time, hey, if that is what's going on there, fucking excellent. Grade A stuff. So, continuing onward, we are being chased through. We get caught in a herd stampede, basically, along with this rolling storm, or I'm not entirely sure if this is environmental or this is caused maybe by the big bad monster, which I'll get into later. Trust me, there's a lot going on in this trailer, and already I am vibrating with excitement. But the main thing to notice is that the riding companion that you get seems to have two modes. One where it's on just its hind legs, or like just on its back legs, and then one where it's on its all fours and it's sprinting. So I'm wondering if, similar to the canines, it'll have different, like, oh hey, you can, you know, kind of weave and go automatically if you're on the regular walking, or you can do essentially a dash to quickly maneuver around monsters, but you don't have a whole lot of control once you get it started. So apart from that, there is a shot in the trailer where you can see lightning striking around you, along with the endemic life, which it seems to absorb almost with the large spike protrusion, which I want to say, if we are getting dynamic weather as well, and monsters that you can hunt just out in the wild, this could mean that technically, if you are in a rolling storm and it strikes one of these endemic life, you could technically lead to a monster over there, have lightning strike it, and then like lead it past this endemic life, and this endemic life stabs it with like an electric charge, which can already lead to all sorts of funky shit. Trust me, there is so much that could lead to. But going further ahead, you can see that the rider is rushing through this storm, and that there is actual lightning strikes around the area. I don't want to say that they're unnatural protrusions. They could just be stone that's sticking out, but maybe that they're set up for like lightning rods almost in the background that you can see. The lightning is not striking it clearly, but maybe they're like attraction zones where you could be able to deal with that, along with the grass actively reacting to being singed, which is actually a nice touch. Once more, we get, I guess, a secondary capability of what this rider companion can do, which is jump from boulder to boulders, which you normally wouldn't be able to do in most Monster Hunters. Like, say, in Rise, you would get the Silk Bug, so you can naturally launch yourself with the Silk Bug and jump around, but you get a limited amount of jumps. In World, you're kind of just shit out of luck unless you have the glide and a wind, which you can set grass on fire to, launch up with the glide, and then just, you know, glide around. But this could show that the rider, the rider companion you get, could be able to hop around way higher areas if it has a vantage point. Or this could be a low transitioning zone. Either one, it's still really cool that we get to see this as an animation just to load into a different zone. And then as soon as we see the lightning strikes, boom, instantly we get a nice front-facing view of a rider companion, along with it being able to, I hesitate to say fly. I don't think it's flying per se. What I think it is instead is that it's gliding, basically. So if you launch from a high enough point, similar to like Legend of Zelda or like, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn, you can be able to essentially have your rider extend out its wings and then just kind of glide to safety, because you don't see it flap or anything like that. It simply lands. And then once it lands, we see the rolling storm seemingly growing the grass, if I am looking at this correctly. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe in slow motion we could probably see it better, but it almost looks like the grass itself is being like rolled out with the dust cloud, and we get this beautiful shot here of this almost Havana, you can see, with like weird metal rods poking out all around, which could lead back to the lightning mechanics, realistically speaking, where perhaps if, say, a storm is gathering, boom, 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 you have several central points that you can get, and even connecting to the endemic life that has the large spikes. Maybe higher the spikes, more chance of lightning striking. I am not 100% sure in terms of what that half circle could be, but it's a really cool fucking, like, half moon mountain almost, like something carved it out. Personally, I want to meet the Elder Dragon that did that, because ain't no fucking way it's any of the ones that we've dealt with before. And then finally, from the Capcom Presents, we get Monster Hunter WILDS title drop. Which, with the title drop, we do notice on how it's forming, you can see several seismic touches, almost like something rapidly running, and then the logo going, which, hey, guess what? If you take a notice and you trace the shape, Monster Hunter 6, right over there, curling around. Sneaky Capcom. I love it. Now then, so, in terms of breaking this down, there are two things that I think. We have, once again, 2 Elder Dragons, most definitely. Because in Rise, the last time they used the 2 dragon motif, we had the 2 Elder Dragons, the Thunder God and the Wind God. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. I'll most likely have it in post, you know, to show what they are. But in the meantime, if you notice, it's not just the 2. You can see, apart from the 2, the one forming the 6, the one underneath it, but also the 4 circles each have their own dragons. And I think what they're wanting to do with this WILDS mechanic, they might have it be where there are 6 new Elder Dragons, maybe. This is just purely speculation on just the logo alone. But genuinely, I do think that there might be 2 large, imposing Elder Dragons and 4 essentially minor, not Elder Dragons, but minor large monsters that fall under them, similar to a hierarchy almost. So we could slowly be escalating to it. And with that logo, we get a nice shot of our hunter. And I can finally talk about the fact that since we got a nice shot of the hunter, we can see that he has 2 weapons. Now, the weapon on his back, realistically, could be a greatsword. They've always used greatswords every time in the trailers whenever they're announcing a new title. Personally, I would want to think that it might be a new weapon. Not just because of the look. It's almost smaller than most greatswords, but also there is a double handle on it. One proper handle where you can grip, but the secondary one that's also wrapped in leather. If you can see it properly. I think personally that either we are getting a new moveset for the greatsword, which would be fantastic, or it could be a new weapon that's a combination of the greatsword and longsword. Now, move speculation aside, the bigger elephant in the room, the gun that is slung over on your rider companion. The implications of this means that you can bring 2 weapons at once, and if that is the new iteration of the tent system, where you can go back to camp, grab your secondary weapon, or like grab another weapon in case, you know, you want to put something away to switch something out, and then immediately go back to the hunt. What if, instead of going back to camp to do that, we have the ability to select 2 weapons we want in the hunt right off the bat, and we can call our companion to grab said weapon and have it loaded, ready to go. I can imagine it being a restriction of like maybe one that's purely melee, or like at least, you know, one that's like mostly melee, and then one that's long range, so maybe a light bow gun and greatsword, for example, in case you want to switch things around. Hell, if Capcom is really smart, they wouldn't put any restriction on it, but realistically speaking, that's probably what they're going to be doing. And staring into the environment, we get confirmation that yes, this is a Monster Hunter game, because after all, Rathalos has to be flying around, otherwise it wouldn't be a Monster Hunter game without Rathalos. He's our boy. He's the flagship. He's always gonna be there, no matter what. Fucking bastard. And with that, 2025. 2025. I would normally be so mad that a game is that far away, but realistically, this is the end of the year, and we only really need to wait 1 year for the game, technically. Just need to wait around 2025. And then once that comes out, hey, guess what? I am fully willing to put my chips down and say, it's coming out in March. It's coming around probably first quarter of the year, because most likely Capcom wants to make sure that this stays away from as many of their flagships as possible. Because Dragon's Dogma is coming out fairly soon. There's probably going to be a new Resident Evil in the meantime. And they're going to have to make sure that nothing runs into that. And there's not a lot of games that are releasing in early 2025. A lot of them are in the later category. Technically, there is GTA 6 that is going 2025, but, you know, there's no PC release, so they're not going to be fighting them, at least. For now, I would hope. If Capcom plays this smart, it's going to be quarter 2025, most likely. And during off trailer in the proper live stream, it is confirmed from the director and producer himself that we are in fact going to be getting more news in the summer 2024, which I'm not 100% sure. That sounds like either Tokyo Game Show, I doubt it, or E3 season. Now, yes, E3 is dead. Boo-hoo. However, it doesn't mean that the summertime isn't a good time to release their trailers. So most likely that might be what they're doing. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to all this. I do have some gameplay stuff still going on in the background. I have my own items doing Fuga. I have a couple of other analysis videos that I'm going to be doing, mainly about music and how important it is. But I just wanted to get this quickly out of the way. This has been Aeon, signing off. God, I'm so fucking excited.